What are your expectations? Has Luffy finally overcome Kaido? Has the borders of Wano been open? Was that the goal in the first place anyway? What are we still doing in Wano? Those are some loaded questions because obviously we don't know yet because chapter 1050 is not out yet, but we do have the wherewithal and so many context clues so we can make some predictions to figure out what is going to happen next. So the main topics of discussion that we've been going through is revolving around Kaido, Luffy, Momonosuke, Zunisha, and in some ways the world government. For the most part, every single other plot point has been wrapped up. There's some loose ends that will be handled post-arc, or rather post-Wano, the closing segments of the arc. But for right now, every single thing is wrapped up. Orochi, all the commanders, all the Tobiroppo, that cool twist that Chopper and them were dealing with, even after that, the Kizenbo, all those things have been wrapped up. Right now, we are currently waiting on the conclusion of Luffy versus Kaido. And the results. Luffy just unleashed a devastating attack. Like, I did not even realize initially when I was reading the chapter about the compression that Luffy did. And shout out to my guy Quietly Loud because he pointed out that Luffy hit Kaido so damn hard that Kaido literally instant transmission down to the pits of hell where Zoro, the king of hell, is currently waiting for him. Okay, the last part I cannot confirm, but seriously, Kaido is now in an abyss. Does Kaido escape? Is Kaido actually done? Do you want Kaido to be done? Right, those are questions that we're still asking, but I gotta be honest with you. It doesn't feel like he's done. It feels like there's more to come. And you know what? People are somewhat unsatisfied with the ending. I've been asked numerous times, if the arc is over, if this is the end of Kaido, how do you feel? And I've expressed myself, you guys have seen those videos, but they're like, well, it doesn't feel like it's the end. Oda has given us bits and pieces on purpose for us to try to piece things together without having the entire story. Oda has been doing this to us for the entirety of the story, giving us bits and pieces, and we try to piece it together. We feel like we're really close, and then we fall flat on our faces. It's the same thing here. Do I think Kaido is done? Yes and no. I don't think there's going to be a full significant matchup after this. I think there will be dialogue for certain between certain characters, but I do think in regards to battle, he probably is done. For his flashback, obviously not. I think Oda does give us a bit more to bring things together a bit better, but we are pretty much done with the Wano arc. But okay, so since we're pretty much done, it's time to grade some characters, right? What is left? We've avenged Yasui. The borders of Wano are not really open yet because I think it's still really difficult to get to Wano, but I guess it's pretty easy to get into Wano if you have access to the gondola, which is behind one of the waterfalls, but you know, with Orochi and Kaido ruling, it wasn't that easy to get access to it. But now you should be able to, right? Kaido should be gone. And Orochi, I don't think he'll ever be gone because he is a citizen of Wano, and I think they do keep him, but they do not kill him. Yes, guys, I do not think Orochi is dead. For Kaido, what comes of him? What becomes of him? We know that he only got captured seemingly just to eat. How do you restrain someone like that? Because he probably is going to get away. You can't have admirals watching over him 24/7, and Magellan, as impressed I am by him every single time he's on screen, that's not somebody he can control. How do you get him out of the story? Well, I know a lot of people do not like this idea, but we have to think about Kaido's upbringing. And if we somewhat piece Kaido's backstory together, everything revolves around strength. Kaido's been waiting for Joy Boy because in Kaido's mind, Kaido was so damn strong that the only person that could think to overcome him has to be a reincarnation of a god or a deity. And so that's what happened. However, now it's happened. Luffy has defeated Kaido. Even if it hasn't, Luffy has defeated Kaido, and even if it's not true, it is inevitable. But with this coming, how does Kaido react to it? To the fact that he was beaten by another individual. Not an Oni, by the way, a human. How does he react? What everyone's talking about is the fact that Kaido does go into a situation where he aids the Straw Hats. Now, I'm saying he does not immediately just say, hey guys, how can I help you? You're a Joy Boy. I want to follow. No, but I don't think Kaido will miss this opportunity. But I definitely don't think Kaido will miss this opportunity to engage in a full-out war. For King, there are things that he would need to ask as well, right? Because the important thing here, and then we get into post-Wano stuff that I don't want to touch on quite yet, but you have to get Kaido out of the story. For Doflamingo, that's fairly simple because he is a warlord, right? But he is not to the level of Kaido, right? He's not that enormous, overwhelming force. Oda will have to either give Kaido a different purpose, whereas he's trying to find himself, so he goes flying, he then resides in Sky Island, right? As a deity looking over the place, but not really the same as he does with Wano. He moves on. Or you have Kaido go to Impel Down, and he's trapped there forever because he doesn't doesn't want to get out. He has no purpose. He has no motivation, which I think will be rather boring. Or my third option, Kaido does join that final war. It's war, right? And for him, in a way, he gets to fulfill the wishes of his subordinate in King. Again, we're getting into the post-Wano stuff that I'm waiting for, but it helps King as well. But the other plot points, Orochi's wrapped up. We just have to open the borders and explain those things. We then have to go through the journal for Oden and sift through exactly what Oden was talking about. Just want to let you guys know though, a lot of the important information, if you guys remember, it was torn out. So I don't think we get anything that's completely breaking the internet, but I think we get things in regards to One Piece fans that's really significant that we're going to lose our freaking minds. So now, what happens in 1050? I think we get the conclusion of Luffy versus Kaido, like an actual announcement. But I think Kaido does ask Luffy questions. Are you really Joy Boy? Do you think you're Joy Boy? It was like, well, I don't know. What do you mean? I'm Monkey D. Luffy. And then Kaido, maybe he falls saying, of course you are. Understanding that Luffy is him through and through. And for Kaido, it's maybe a sense of peace, because this is everything he's been waiting for a long freaking time. Then we get reactions from Yamato and Momonosuke. And I do think we see Momonosuke transform at the end of the chapter back to his regular form. We don't see his face yet, right? Because Momonosuke, he's an adult and we have not seen what he looks like. There are the memes going around. I've mentioned before, he looks like Whitebeard. He looks like other members of the Whitebeard pirates. More than likely, he look like a combination of Toki and Oden. I'm not saying he looks like Inosuke from Demon Slayer, but I don't think he looks exactly like Oden, but he's gonna favor him, where people can be like, oh my God, he looks just like your dad. Other reactions, right, from everyone else, because something that's important for Luffy succeeding is a reaction from the people. How do they react to being liberated? Of course, we saw the lanterns going into the sky. That is significant to the defeat of Kaido because the people must see it. Kaido mentioned this before. Hey, the people are not going to stop believing if they don't see your head fall. Next time, or I should have taken your head. Not saying Luffy takes Kaido's head here, right? I'm not saying that's what happens. Luffy kills Kaido. What? Luffy doesn't kill. Makes more sense for Luffy not to kill Kaido because that is his dream. Oda has mentioned this before. I don't like killing these antagonists or villains because they're already dead. Their dream is no more. For Kaido, the weapons factory in Wano, the other reasons why he chose Wano, even his great war that he was supposed to facilitate with Big Mom, that is over. Kaido's dreams are no more. Yamato succeeding him and taking over Onigashima. All that is done. So for Luffy, it makes more sense for him to let Kaido live and then let the world, or karma, as some would say, do what it will with him. I think we get some more dialogue between Orochi and Denjiro and Hiyori. Again, I don't want to pack too much into this chapter, but I do think it revolves around Luffy and Kaido. One of my things that I'm feeling, we get something about Zoro. I don't know what it is, something about Zoro, because there's a lot of post-Wano stuff that I can't wait to talk about, that we probably will get this week because unfortunately we are on break and you know how just tough those break weeks are. So guys, give me your thoughts. What do you think happens in chapter 1050? Is Kaido done? Are you happy if Kaido is done? What happens to him? And then we know one big major twist is coming. What could that be? Also, before I end this, because this is something I used to do all the time and I want to bring it back a little bit, where I take some of the best comments and I go through them and we talk about them briefly because this is what the community is talking about. This is what people feel. And so I want to highlight it and bring it to you guys' attention. And so I'm going to read 2 comments here. You will get a full comment video next week, I promise, because I do miss talking to you guys in that way. So first comment is by Daniel Kidd. He said it took several rounds. The worst generation, Yamato, Oden Samurai, and Luffy getting 3 power-ups to take Kaido down. And he still might not be done. Honestly, I think what Oda meant was that it would take more than just a one-on-one fight and basic punches to take Kaido down, and that's what happened. Luffy punches. That's what he does. This idea that Luffy wasn't going to win with a punch was taken too far by the community. What were people expecting? For Luffy to turn Kaido into the Marines, shoot Kaido to death, borrow one of Zoro's swords, try to drown him? Luffy punches and kicks. Daniel Kidd, I only have one thing to say to you. You are 100% correct. Oda's comments, they're pretty old. Over time, things change, people change, stories change, obviously. And I think for him, going through the process was like, well, I don't know. I don't think a big punch would be okay. That's before Gear 5. That's before Rio. That's before all of these things that he added onto the punch, which I now agree with, right? Before I'm like, I don't know about it. Now I agree with that. You guys are correct on that stance, but there's another side to it where it's like, Oda did say it, right? And so there are people that say, hey, you guys don't listen to the author. You guys just make up your own headcanon and you don't care about what the author says at all. So now on the other hand, you have people that are like, well, the author said it in the story. This is actual factuals. I'm going off of what he said. And so on both sides, it goes a bit too far, but I do think things change, right? And Oda said, well, this is what Luffy does. And there was no other way I think he felt like he could have wrapped it up. And that's how he wanted it to be done. And then there's the caveat of things might not even be over. It's Me Chiss says, to your point about young Kaido being seen in the same light as Big Mom, future Fleet Admiral level, it shows that the Navy is weaker than the pirates. The balance existed because of the warlords and Navy working together and the Emperors not working together. Emperors are Fleet Admiral class combatants. If they team up, then they're strong enough to annihilate anyone except maybe Imu and the Elders. Also, I think the flashback was great. It shows Kaido's motivation for becoming the Pirate King and desire to be Joy Boy. Like Luffy, he just wanted to be free. Kaido's motivation comes from his childhood when he was always being controlled or tried to be sold. He became obsessed with power because that's the only way he thought he'd be free, and probably knew enough about Joy Boy to know he was the most free in history. I think the end of the fight is great because Kaido realizes that Joy Boy is the kind of person who fights to make everyone free and happy. So he's defeated by Luffy because he acknowledges Luffy is him, and mentally he knows he'll never beat someone like Joy Boy. A little rambly and disjointed, but I hope the general idea makes sense. So, It's Me Chiss, I understand what you're saying. There's a few things I would like to dissect. So, talk about Kaido's motivations and his childhood and being controlled and trying to be sold. Well, something Kaido talks about a few times in Wano is that if you're not strong, people will leave you or people will abandon you. He talks about that from time to time. In his flashback, people weren't abandoning him because he was too weak. People were abandoning him because he was too strong. There's more depth to it that we're missing because he was obviously abandoned at some point by Rocks or whomever because they probably lost. He abandoned Big Mom. He just disappeared. And then for Rocks, there's some secret that Oda is hiding that revolves around Kaido, which some people are saying, well, did Kaido turn on Rocks? Was he enamored by Roger and Garp? Is that the reason why he has those thoughts about Haki? Because he saw Roger and Garp, and I guess Rayleigh as well, and even Bogard, right? People forget about Bogard. Go look up Bogard. You should know who he is. If you don't, you probably should be reading the wiki a bit more. But he saw these people contesting against some of the best Devil Fruit users in the story or strongest and holding their own, and again, winning at God Valley. I will have a video talking about God Valley coming out really soon, so stay tuned for that, but there's more here, and I think that's intentional. I do agree with you. The Navy individually is weaker than, per se, each Yonko. The Yonko, pound for pound, are stronger than the Admirals. But personally, how I interpret this, right, is that the Navy is always trying to get stronger. Regardless of the balance or how strong they are, they're going to always try to get stronger because the only thing harder than gaining power is retaining power. And so for them, whatever they can do to stay a step ahead of other pirates or other organizations, they will do it. And for them, if they can pull a strong young pirate off of the seas onto their side, then that prevents the conflict that will come against these people in the future. It is how to win 101, and that's all they do. So guys, give me your thoughts. Again, full video talking about your comments coming soon. I can't wait for One Piece chapter 1050. Break weeks make me sick. Oh my gosh. But I promise guys, a slew of videos are coming and a live stream, right? A live stream coming this weekend as well, so look forward to that. But guys, give me your thoughts. How do you feel about everything? Make sure to like the video if you did. Subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Follow me on Twitter at BragoDAce. Follow me on Instagram at BragoD.Ace. Thank you to my patrons. I appreciate you guys all so much. Again, guys, be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
I start doubting me, I felt lost. I rewrite it.